to Don't Do Disney
Without Us.
My name is Daniel.
And my name is Zach.
And welcome back to our show. It's a little show where we like to talk about all things Disney, including the theme parks, the movies, television, networks, maybe, the streaming services. What do I got? The fireworks shows, the nighttime entertainment offerings. Pretty much everything except the sports.
Except running, sometimes.
Yeah, we do talk about Run Disney, but only when there's a race, and you won't hear about that until, we get closer to the race. To a race season, which is what? Wine and Dine in
Wine
November?
and Dine in November.
Right. Anyway, yeah, we like to talk about all those things. Thank you for joining us here again. I have no idea what episode this number is because I don't have show notes in front of me, but
12.
12. There you go. But tonight, tonight, this episode, we want to talk about something controversial.
Very grave.
Ooh, grave and controversial. We want to talk about the placement of the Hatbox Ghost in the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World. There's a lot of qualifiers there, aren't there?
There really were. We're combining several things today. The theme parks and the movies.
Yeah. I don't know that we're going to talk that much about the movie.
Well, we're not going to talk about the movie because we haven't seen it.
We haven't seen the movie, but I have read the spoilers just to see if there was anything pertinent to the placement of the Hatbox Ghost that might have happened from the movie. And then I decided it doesn't even really matter. I just want to talk about the Hatbox Ghost because this is what has been happening. Let's just get into. Are we just getting into this?
Let's jump right into it.
No, you know what? No, we're not. We're going to say hi. Hi, how are you? What did we do this week? We went to Typhoon Lagoon.
We did.
Yeah, we went to Typhoon Lagoon
on Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. Because it was very, very hot, and we'd been trying to go to Typhoon Lagoon for like 3 weeks. I'm trying not to move as he adjusts my mic, and we just kept putting it off. Yeah. So we decided we're going to go, and we went because we have the water park out onto our pass, so we can go whenever we want.
That's true. So we went to Typhoon Lagoon. We had a fun time there. It looked like it was going to, reading the weather reports ahead of time made it seem like it was going to be a washout most of the afternoon, but it ended up being fine. It didn't actually start opening. The heavens didn't open up and pour down upon us, the wrath of the heavens upon us, until probably 8? 7-ish,
and we were comfortably seated at the Rose and Crown at Epcot at that point. We were going to do festival booths, but then realized it's going to rain. Yeah. So we picked somewhere that had covered seating.
What was I saying? We were going to talk about, I'm sorry, we had some audio issues that I was dealing with. We went to Typhoon Lagoon, we ate at Rose and Crown, experienced the third day of the Food and Wine Festival. Third or fourth. It doesn't matter. It's Sunday, whatever it is. Yes. Food and Wine started on Thursday. So,
fourth.
Okay.
Numbers are hard.
It doesn't matter though. We went over there. We were looking for something in the Creation Shop. We didn't find it.
We didn't find it. Yeah. But if any of y'all have seen the Tumblr that came out recently that has Figment and all the Epcot people on it, tell me where it is because it wasn't at Creations. So either I missed it or it's just hiding.
Let's see. Starbucks Tumblr.
I believe it is a Starbucks Tumblr.
All right. I think that's enough. The one fun thing, I just peeked. I'm sorry. The one fun thing is when we went to Typhoon Lagoon, we actually we have a GoPro, and I had lost the little waterproof thing for the SD card slot, and I couldn't find it. But thankfully, when my cat was playing with a bunch of stuff the other day, he found it underneath something, and so we were able to take our GoPro with us and finally get some water shots from Typhoon Lagoon.
I mean, they're probably not great shots because
I'll put one in here of the wave in the wave pool going across. It was all right. I looked at some of them there. That one's okay. But yeah, I was just kind of testing it out, seeing what kind of shots we could do there.
When he says we have a GoPro knockoff.
Wow, outing me to a bunch of people. Does it matter? No. Does it matter that it's a DJI? But anyway, so let's talk about this Hatbox Ghost. It was announced.
Hatbox Ghost.
It was announced the other day that the Hatbox Ghost is going to be placed in the mansion in Walt Disney World in the infinite hallway.
The endless hallway. Infinite, endless. The hallway that never ends.
For those of you who may not know, when you're on the Haunted Mansion, there is a corridor near the front of the ride that has a suit of armor. And if you look down the hallway, it appears to go on and on and on forever. And then floating in the middle of that hallway is a candelabra. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. That is the Endless Hallway, and that is where the Hatbox Ghost will be appearing in Walt Disney World. Not yet. It'll be later this summer.
I think they actually have started
Okay.
installation now-ish.
I just want to, at the time of this recording, no one has seen it. No one has seen it. Everyone is reacting off this based solely off of what has been announced. No one's actually seen the installation yet. And I feel like this makes a lot of sense from an engineering standpoint because you're dealing with a 50-year-old ride, 50-year-old building, and now you need to install a new animatronic. And we all know that it's not just the pieces up above that are the animatronic, right? There's motors and stuff and things that are hidden underneath it. I think modern ones are more compact, but still you need some space to put to wire things in, and they're quite heavy. So you can't just put them on a piece of wood somewhere, right? So I feel like it was just an engineering issue, right? That like we don't have room in the attic as we leave the Haunted Mansion like you do in California. So therefore they put it in the only other place that they could put it without completely redesigning the building, right? I haven't read that. That's just my gut feeling as to why they chose it put there.
I can go along with that. I mean,
okay.
I haven't ridden the Haunted Mansion in a little while, but I'm pretty sure there's empty spaces they probably could have put it, but yes, for whatever reason,
this makes the most sense.
That is where they have chosen to place the Hatbox Ghost animatronic.
Right. So it was announced, it hits the internet, and of course, as predicted, a whole lot of people got very upset about the placement of the Hatbox Ghost in the Endless Hallway. I am just using one TikTok video as an example. I am in no way trying to single out this particular creator, Sarah Ellsworth on TikTok. I'm just going to play her because she hits most of the points that I hear other people hitting. So this is what she says.
Yes, we are absolutely talking about where they're deciding to put the Hatbox Ghost in Walt Disney World. In case you didn't know, Walt Disney World is adding the Hatbox Ghost to the Haunted Mansion later this year in Florida.
Yes.
However, they released yesterday the actual location of where Hattie is going in the ride.
Yes.
I didn't know that this was something that needed releasing. I thought he was just automatically going to go in the same space that he is in the Disneyland Mansion, which is in the attic right next to Constance.
So it's a misconception that the two mansions are identical. They were built close to the same period of time. However, they're not identical. The Florida has a longer track and has some different things in it. And like the most obvious one is the stretching room in California is an actual elevator that takes you under the train track. We don't have to do that here in Florida, so we have a fake. So
the portrait gallery is the queue at Disneyland, whereas you ride through it here.
Good call. So these are not identical rides, so it makes sense that you can't place it in California, in the same place that you could in California because they're not identical buildings. So okay.
But apparently they are adding him right next to the Endless Hallway.
Yes.
At the beginning of the ride.
Well, not the exact beginning.
Why is this a big deal to a lot of Haunted Mansion fans?
Why? Why, Zach? Why is this a big deal to a lot of Haunted Mansion fans?
I'm sure she's going to tell us.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to include myself in that group. I am a fan of the Haunted Mansion.
I am also a fan of the Haunted Mansion. One of our very good friends is a fan of the Haunted Mansion.
I'm not upset about the Hatbox Ghost. Just spoiler alert. I'm not upset about it, but let's go on here.
Because it's breaking the narrative of the ride.
No, it's not.
You haven't noticed already, when you ride the Haunted Mansion, you don't physically see any ghosts until Madame Leota summons them in her seance for a swinging.
Okay, so I want to take that first thing there. So we're breaking lore in the Haunted Mansion because, and I read this in a lot of different ways, but they're all essentially saying the same thing, that you don't see an actual ghost in the Haunted Mansion until you go through the seance room, the Madame Leota seance room.
Correct.
After that, you see the ballroom. That's the next scene that you go to, right? The ballroom with all the ghosts in it, or a lot of ghosts in it. And I'll concede that you see a majority of the ghosts after you go past Madame Leota. However, prior to that, Auntie Scott will love that, but that was however, is a thing I stole from Auntie Scott. Anyway, prior to that, you do see a lot of ghosts, and I don't want to play semantics with you folks, because I know I keep reading a lot of that. No, that's an apparition, or that's that's just a shadow. It's like there is a shadow playing the piano. That's a ghost, folks. That's a ghost. The ghost is playing the piano as you go past it. There's a ghost with his arm. You can see his arms. His arms are solid. He is pushing open the door.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here.
Pushing open the door. Yeah, that is a ghost, folks. That is a ghost. Don't tell you. It's always a zombie or it's an undead. No, it's a ghost. It's a ghost, right? Ghost is just a catch-all phrase for spirits. In the library, as you go past all the busts and they all turn to look at you, those are ghosts. It's like the entire Haunted Mansion is filled with ghosts. After you go past Madame Leota, you do see more ghosts, but I think it coincides more with the ghost host who actually says, right after you pass by Madame Leota, the ghost host says to you,
"The happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize." That was my best Paul Frees. Don't come for me because it sucks. I know it sucks.
They're assembling for a swinging wake and they'll be expecting me. I'll see you a little later. And then you go through the scene. So why if Madame Leota lore-wise really was summoning the ghost, don't you think the ghost host would point that out? And he's just like, oh, our medium has summoned the spirits for you to see, or something like that. No. He's saying it because your sympathetic vibrations, right? Also,
he didn't say, oh, thank goodness for that, Madame Leota.
Yeah. Also, Madame Leota is a ghost. Yeah. So I don't know why she had. Is she a super ghost? Does she own the rest of it? Like, why does she have this power?
Is it actually Leota Manor and not Gracie Manor?
It's like, why does she have this power out of all the ghosts there? Not the ghost host. He doesn't have the power. No, it's just Madame Leota that has this power to summon other ghosts. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. There's a bunch of ghosts all the way through the Haunted Mansion, and we'll get to another article about that.
I will buy the argument that outside of the things that we mentioned,
a lot of things,
the shadow and the man in the coffin
and the narrator
and the busts and the narrator, largely what happens pre-Leota are the effects of ghosts, but they're still caused by ghosts.
Right. But I don't think it's going to harm the lore if we see a single ghost before we get to Madame Leota. It's just not. This is not going to break any kind of lore. I know that a lot of people, and there's one of the YouTubers that we watch often and like a lot, Offhand Disney. Shout out to Offhand Disney, who I'm sure does not watch this channel. He has termed it as head lore. Like, so everyone has their own head lore for the Haunted Mansion, and that there isn't a lot of official lore for here. What we assume,
there is almost no official lore for the Haunted Mansion.
Let's finish her video and then we'll get to that, because we did bring the receipts, as the kids say. So we do have something to back this up. But let's go ahead and finish here.
First materialize in the ballroom, but before then you don't actually see anything.
Yes, you
see things moving. You see the candelabra floating. You see the night moving.
That's ghost.
You don't physically see any apparitions. And with all due respect.
So if I see a policeman walking down the street in a full policeman uniform and I don't catch his face, is it not a policeman? It's like, I see a suit of armor moving. There's a ghost in there. It's moving it.
I mean, it could be a squirrel, but it's probably not.
It's the Haunted Mansion.
Maybe it's a ghost squirrel.
The Hatbox Ghost before Madame Leota's seance room.
Yes.
Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Put the Hatbox Ghost by the endless hallway, to me, just makes him look ridiculously out of place.
Okay, then don't write it. And it's like, it's to you. I mean, I think that's the key phrase right there. To you, it seems ridiculous because you've bought into this non-existent official lore of the Haunted Mansion. And do you have anything else to say before we jump to that article?
I think no. I feel like this is very much a person-to-person thing, because this creator, Dallin, Offhand Disney, everyone who is upset about the placement of the Hatbox Ghost are self-professed Haunted Mansion fans, Haunted Mansion super fans who like to delve into the nitty-gritty of the lore, and that's fine. But the average guest isn't going to give a single care. They're just going to see Hatbox Ghost and think, oh, that's cool.
I would be okay with that. Like, I feel like Dallin said that. I feel like Dallin said that in my head lore, I believe X. And I respect that. What she is saying, and what I'm seeing a lot of people saying that are complaining about this on the internet, is this violates official lore. Right. So that's right. If it's your opinion that you don't like the placement, then fair game.
And more power to you.
More power to you. Don't ride the ride or get upset about it, whatever. But you can't play the lore card and say Walt wouldn't have wanted it this way, or I think I saw someone say Walt wouldn't want it that way. Someone pretty quickly pointed out Haunted Mansion was actually not built. The ride was not open until 1969 after Walt said. Walt never rode the Haunted Mansion. So the facade at Disneyland was built in 1963, but it sat there for 7 years, 6 or 7 years before the actual ride was opened. And so there was, and part of the reason that it sat there for so long was because there was a lot of internal discussion.
The Haunted Mansion was the creation of it was very contentious.
Yeah. Okay, so do you remember where in this article?
Scroll down.
Keep going. Style without storyline.
Yes.
Okay. As David Younger explains in his book, Theme Park Design and the Art of Themed Entertainment, Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion was one of 2 Disney attractions that embodied the ultimate realization of traditional design style created by Walt Disney and his first generation of Imagineers. Blah, 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 blah. That's not what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Keep going? Mm-hmm. Okay. What this means in practice is that the Haunted Mansion was created to evoke a feeling and a sense of space and place, but not necessarily to tell a specific story. Each scene isn't necessarily connected to the ones that come before or after it, other than through the spatial representation of it being inside a haunted house with multiple rooms. And guests aren't taking a role in the story, but rather passing through and observing these various scenes. Ultimately, let's get right. I think this quote will probably give it to us, right?
Yes.
Ultimately, though, Sorrell notes that the story did come together. Though not as intricately constructed as a Shakespearean play, a story exists. In fact, Imagineering legend and Disneyland veteran Tony Baxter believes that in the end, combining the seemingly divergent work of Mark Davis and Claude Coates inadvertently gave the Haunted Mansion a fairly solid 3-act structure. In Act 1, which begins slowly and ominously in the foyer, guests anticipate the appearance of happy haunts and experience poltergeist activity and unseen spirits. Those are ghosts. Madame Leota provides the curtain that separates Act 1 and Act 2. The medium conjures up the spirits and encourages them to materialize. So she's a cheerleader here, right? She's conjuring up the spirits in that room, right, ringing the bell and whatever, but she's encouraging the spirits to materialize. So she's just a cheerleader. She doesn't own them. She's not the all-powerful witch that can make the spirits appear, right? She's just another ghost who is cheerleading for them to materialize. When they promptly do, swinging in the wake of the grand hall in the attic. The descent from the attic window into the graveyard takes guests into Act 3, in which they are completely surrounded by the ghosts who are enjoying the manic intensity of the graveyard jamboree. Okay, and then you end the ride with a hitchhiking ghost going home.
Our ghost will follow you home, etc.,
right.
etc.
So in a lot of people's head lore of the Haunted Mansion, and I've heard this numerous times, people feel that when you leave the attic, when you go backwards down out of the attic, that you're actually falling. You're falling out of the attic and you're now dead and you're one of the ghosts in the graveyard, which is why they're all more solid out in the graveyard. Why they're not.
But each of those doom buggies can hold 3, possibly 4 very small people.
Yeah.
And there's only room for 1 more.
Aside from that, when you get to the end of the graveyard, the ghost host says, "Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. Beware, a ghost may follow you home." And further to say that if you want to join them, that final arrangements can be made at the end of your tour. At no point does he mention the fact that now you're dead, you can join us or whatever. It's like, you're not dead. You're not dead.
And Leota at the end is like, be sure to bring your death certificate, which you wouldn't have if you fell out of the attic window and died.
So I'm sorry. I know that was a lot to go through, and I hope maybe I've edited some out and you're like going, wait, what are you talking about? I have no idea. But at least officially from Imagineering, it's a 3-act play or 3-act story that doesn't necessarily tie into each other. It's vignettes. It's 3 vignettes
and
three stories.
From everything we have seen and read, and just in our opinion, in my opinion, the Hatbox Ghost, at least in the new movie, which we haven't seen, plays by his own rules.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't want to bring the movie into it because we haven't seen
fair.
the movie, and
But at least for us,
yeah,
seeing a single ghost, a single ghost before Leota summons them,
right,
is not going to ruin the ride.
No.
It doesn't break the lore because there basically is no lore.
right.
And I understand that people are upset and very passionate about it. And I respect that. It can foster good discussion.
Right. What if, and I have no reason to believe that they're doing this, but what if they put it in that endless hallway as an illusion? What if it was much like the candelabra, which is just floating in that endless hallway, isn't reflecting itself, right? It's not reflected endlessly. The hallway is, but the candelabra isn't. What if somewhere back in that reflection, you see the Hatbox Ghost just out of the corner of your eye, you're like a wisp of him or something like that? Would that make you feel better? Like it's like, I don't know. I feel like people are going to complain because they want to complain.
Well, yes, because negativity and outrage gets clicks and views and...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are creators out there that 100% I don't believe actually hate this, but are having to say that they hate this because...
That's their brand.
Right. They're jumping on the hate train here because, hey, that gets clicks.
And if you are a person who disagrees with our take on this, please come talk with us in the comments on our socials. We're on basically all the socials.
We are.
I would love to have a conversation with you about this.
Are you aiming this at our friend Dirk, who wrote an article about how horrible it was that the Hatbox Ghost is going to be in the endless hallway? Dirk Libby, friend of the show, writer of Cinema Blend.
Yes.
Are you saying that maybe he should come back on and explain himself?
He explained himself in his article, but Dirk is always welcome on the show.
All right. That's it. That's all I have. I'm sorry. These people are wrong. That's it. I know what you're saying. Hey, that's just your opinion, but I'm right. So I don't know that I'm right, but it's all right. I'm looking forward to seeing the Hatbox Ghost.
Yes, very much. Once we get a date, I would like to maybe try and get there as soon as possible, but the Haunted Mansion and the Hatbox Ghost are not going anywhere.
I feel like the Hatbox Ghost is an entirely different amusement ride that some of our friends would definitely like to go and see. All right, well then let's just wrap this up. Let's just wrap this up and get out of here.
Yes.
Do you have your hero and your villain of the week?
Yes, my hero. And we're going to start with heroes because I said so.
Yeah.
It is Sam. He is from the UK. He was our server at the Rose and Crown outdoor dining experience on Sunday. He was very funny, very charming. Daniel made a comment about someone having solved the puzzle on the back of the menu with nubbed crayons, and Sam brought him some crayons and a kids menu. I posted that on our TikTok
with the puzzles, which I solved.
He helped shield us from the rain when it started coming down. So thanks, Sam.
Okay. Well, my hero of the week, I had it all queued up here and everything. I was going to talk about Elemental, which has just apparently had long legs, but Elemental, the little movie that could, is at 396 million at the time that we're recording this, almost at 400 million. Keep in mind that the production budget on that film was 200, and if the marketing, the way you average things in marketing, at least on the internet, is to say, about 50% of production is spent on marketing. So 300 million total. It's made 396. So all of you people saying that Elemental is a huge flop and a huge, stain, didn't make gangbusters, but it did make $100 million profit.
Including us. I have to go change the title on our video about that.
Anyway, that was going to be my hero, but now I want to change it.
Okay. What is your new hero?
My new hero is Sam's coworker, the waitress outside. I didn't catch her name at the Rose and Crown. We were sitting on the patio facing the World Showcase Lagoon. Humongous storm just unleashed on us, and they had to roll down these, shields, like these plastic windows.
The weather shields.
Yeah, to close off the patio so that you don't get soaked. There's no motors on those things. That lady had to use a little crank, and it took her a good 4 or 5 minutes per thing to bring down. I don't know. It's
very slow.
I would
Disney invest in some automated shades.
That's like an OSHA thing. I feel like that's a repetitive strain injury just waiting to happen there with that thing. All right, who's your villain of the week?
So I have to say that my villain of the week was actually the food at Rose and Crown.
Oh.
I had their fish and chips, and it just didn't seem super fresh. I feel like I could have gone next door to the Yorkshire County Fish Shop, which probably, if it doesn't share the same kitchen, probably uses the same stock, and gotten it fresher and cheaper, because the fish and chips at Rose and Crown is double the price of the fish at Yorkshire County.
Did not know.
It just wasn't the greatest food. And yes, food and wine is going on, but giant storm.
I mean, you're talking about British food.
Oh,
so
please don't offend anyone in our audience that might be British.
Right there off the bat, we're talking about British food. So
if you are British in our audience and Daniel just offended you, I'm so very sorry. Please don't hate us.
They agree with me. I had the bangers and mash, which was good. My bangers and mash was delicious. It was very good. So there you go. I was looking at the fish and chips, but I got the bangers and mash. I remember getting a burger at the Rose and Crown a long time ago, and it was really good, but they didn't have that on the menu.
So who's your villain?
My villain of the week, it's not a specific person. It's a type of person. We did run into some of them while we were at Typhoon Lagoon. You may know their distant cousins, the folks that walk hand in hand down the walkways.
There's only 2 of us, but we're going to take up the entire walkway through Fantasyland.
You know, those people that like to hold hands while they walk and block as much space on the crowded walkways as they possibly can, and they're in no particular hurry to get anywhere. Their Lazy River cousins are the ones that I'm particularly have made my villains this week. There was a family of 4 that had just linked their inner tubes together in the Lazy River, which just blocked
the entire Lazy River.
And their youngest child was swimming, so he kept pushing them backwards, which caused a huge backup of everyone else.
It was like a traffic jam on the Lazy River.
It
wasn't very lazy at all. It just wasn't moving.
Yeah. And they weren't the only ones that had made these floating roadblocks. I mean, there were other families that were doing that. Well, if you're in the Lazy River, enjoy yourself in the Lazy River. You don't need to strap yourselves together.
I mean, obviously, keep track of your small children.
Yeah, but it goes 2 miles an hour. It's like you're not gonna lose them. They're not gonna get swept away in the current. It's just like, let other people enjoy the Lazy River, people. That's all I'm trying to. Who's your villain?
I already said mine.
Really?
The food at Rose and Crown.
Oh, it was the food at Rose and Crown. That's what it was. Okay.
I think that's our cue to get out of here.
It is. All right. As said before, if you want to reach out to us, you can find all of our socials down below in the description. Doobly-doo if you're on YouTube, just description if you're listening to the podcast. We do have a video version of this podcast. If you're listening to the audio-only version, check out our YouTube channel, the WDW Aristocrats, just WDW Aristocrats. And you will find our video version of the podcast there, as well as on Spotify. We have a video version there. And if you're watching the video version and you want an audio-only version that you can listen to on your car.
To take with you while you're running.
That's right. Then check it out over on Spotify or actually anywhere where fine podcasts are served. I think the only thing left for me to do.
The only thing
left for me to do is to say, please. Oh, but I should mention, we're using a new camera tonight, so if the video is wonky, weird looking, it's because we're testing out some stuff because we want.
And we might be changing the whole setup soon. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, all that is left for me to do is to say, ask that you please don't do Disney
without us.